What's good, friendly ghosts? Hope all of y'all been having a good 23rd day of Christmas and jolly shopping sprees and all that whatnot with the family. I saw the Christmas star, the Jupiter and Saturn alignment. Oh, that was so sick. I went outside and just, during this quarantine, it's been like just a quiet just ghost town everywhere that I go, except for when you go to the grocery store. But on the 21st, it's like everybody inside the complex, or just a good group, they came outside, around sunset, and they just sat out and they just started gazing into the sky. And it was just so surreal to me, because it was like the first time that I felt like there were people around, and it just felt like kind of normal. It was just so strange. And of course, I went outside and I was gazing up it because I was keeping track on it for like the weeks in advance. So I went up on a hill, I'm gazing at it and trying to get photos and pictures of it. But my crappy phone, it's all pixelated and whatnot. But then they started joining me. They looked at it and it was just so surreal and such a cool moment. I didn't get to see Saturn's rings or Jupiter's. Jupiter's rings or Saturn's moons. I get those two mixed up. I probably still got it mixed up, but I didn't get to see that much detail because there's a lot of lights and I didn't have a telescope. But I did see the location of it, and I saw it for a good couple of weeks leading up to the event. I was under the impression that it was going to be like a bright, glowing Christmas star, type of celestial event that was just gonna just bedazzle the sky, but it was they just were closer than they usually were. And I went shopping, Christmas shopping, and I don't know if it's like a thing where where every time I go to the jewelry section, there's these two ladies that I always meet, and they always talk to me and about, because they sell the jewelry and they open the cases and whatnot, but they're like always super friendly and nice, and they talk to me as if they've known me for years, and like we're just like the closest of the closest. The Jewish lady that I guess she's an old lady, and I went there like just a couple of days ago to get some Christmas presents, and she treats me like she's parenting me like the whole time, like she's my grandma. She's like, oh, she walks real slow. She walks with a basket, just to get across the counter. She's like, well, what do you want now? What do you want next, honey? And we get to the cashier, and she's telling me all these things like, well, you watch out for this, because you never know if, at their age, they might not like something of this, too shiny or this or that. And she's saying, oh, you're holding your wallet out, your wallet's kind of open, you're letting everybody see inside your wallet. And she's like, that's none of anybody else's business. You gotta hold your wallet up close and keep your money from showing out, honey. Just take your time and fix that. Damn, my own mom tells me that. I thought I was doing pretty good. She's getting on me, parenting me, and like trying to keep me safe. It was just funny, and just it's just like kind of heartwarming, because you just don't really get that much these days. And what we're doing right now is the LOD JP comparison playthrough. We're going to be comparing both versions of the game, because the JP version of the game is notoriously harder. And we're just going in and just comparing everything, the differences, pointing them out whenever they need to be pointed out, and mostly just having fun. I'm not really trying to go out of my way to compare this or compare that, and discover everything. I'm just trying to have fun. I go through it with the JP version first, and then after that I go through with the USA version, and I try to as best as I possibly can make a similar run as I do in the JP version, and try to make comparisons and jabs whenever it is suitable. And with that, we might as well get into this. I've talked long enough. Everything else is pretty much covered. Oh, the bosses that are coming up. I guess I have to talk about this real quick. the bosses that we have to look for in this video is going to be all of Hoax, the Ninja, Kongol, the Virage, and Firebird. We're going to go through all of those bosses, and this was going to be the long vid. And I won't say that there's going to be a huge difference that you're going to see, but trust me, there is a big difference. My character's levels are different because they level different. Like for instance, all of my additions are higher in JP because the fights take longer and I get more practice with them. Whereas in NA, the fights end quicker, so I don't get to use them as often. I lost more in JP, so some characters are lower level. Dart is a higher level. Lavis is like 1 level behind. Shauna's like 1 level behind. You know, so there's just little differences within that, but I think towards the end of the video, they all get leveled out. And with that, we're going to get into this vid, and let's roll.
天上から全生物を支配し、奴隷として扱ったという、さながら神のごとく。じゃが、理不尽な支配、非道なる私益、激しい怒りは、ついに炎と化した。その折、大地に一陣の風が吹いた。風の名はディアス聖帝。彼に従うは、7人のドラゴンの化身。その武勇で、人は戦いを決意した。ドラゴン戦役の始まりじゃ。戦いは熾烈を極めた。人も有力人も多くが傷つき、土へと帰った。長き苦しみの時、その終局に未来を手にしたのは人間じゃった。それから人間の時が流れ始めた。
So yeah, I'm not going to show the entire section of this. I'm going to be skipping to keep the pace. There is one thing different about this section in Lavis's house that I want to bring to attention, is that normally to get the Stardust in the house, in the kitchen, usually after you sleep over in the house, Lavis's mother moves out the way, and that's another opportunity for you to get the Stardust if you didn't get it earlier. However, what happens in JP is if you don't get it earlier while Shauna's cooking in the kitchen, then you miss your chance to get it because his mother doesn't move out the way after that until maybe later on in the game in some other chapter, or I don't know when she moves out the way at that point, but I do know that she does not move out the way, so you miss your chance to get it. Of course, none of the Stardusts are missable, you just have to come back at some other time, and that's not how it is in the NA. So as we head into Hoax, there's going to be a couple of differences on the map, and not just in the fights. On the map, there's going to be one very key difference that for some reason is they changed in the easier version of the game. They removed the save point inside of Hoax. So during that gauntlet that you go through, there's a save point in the middle of the stairs, and they allow you to save in between matches, and and that's very helpful because otherwise you don't get to save until after you go through the entire Hoax event. So you have to save before going into Hoax, or you don't get to save until after you finish the entire gauntlet in the NA version, whereas you can just save between every single match, before the ninja. So I don't understand that change in the supposed easier version, but that's just something, it's something that's different. Now, with the next upcoming fights, and there's one dialogue thing that I want to look up to when Dart looks into the fireplace. Oh yeah, I really gotta know what Dart says in this fireplace. I have to know. We're gonna do this right now. We got another translation session, only this one is not gonna be as in depth. This is gonna be a one-liner, a one-hitter quitter. You see something so empowering inside that fireplace that it puts him into the mood to just do it. Everybody deserves to have one of those fireplaces in their houses, and I want to see what that says, what it translates into in the OG version of the game. Right off the bat, it says, "Don't come." What the hell? Looking at the flame, something I don't feel like doing it. Okay, that's a quality start. I don't feel like doing it. It was in all exclamation points. I don't feel like doing it. Damn, darn, what is this fireplace doing to you? Looking at the flames, something I don't feel like doing. I don't feel like it. I don't feel, that's just all he's saying. I don't feel like doing it. One, looking at the flame, something, I'll do it. I don't feel like it. Looking at the flame, something, I don't feel like it. I'll do it. Wow, this is just, in fact, I'll dare say it's all inspiring how on point Google is with translating this to get it so accurately. I love it. He said, when I look at the flame, it's kind of, I'll do it. I don't feel like it. Looking back, damn, Dart's starting his diary entry. Looking at the interval frames, sometimes I'll do it. I don't feel like it. What the hell is this? Looking at the bag, it's kind of, I'll do it. Don't feel like it. I love how he just ends it with the same line. I guess this is as good as we're gonna get. I'll save this one. Dart's inner brain workings. They aren't letting us inside. He doesn't want us to get a deep POV of what's happening inside his mental structure. So he's being very faithful to the manga. So we're just going to leave it at that, and we're going to push forward. So anyways, one thing that I want to, I guess we should be prepping for the next fights. So the enemies, as typical as with pretty much across the board in JP, they all hit harder with physicals. And that's non-negotiable. It's just the fact. Oh, there's another scene. Okay, so this is what another translation section that I want to check out, because I've always caught the grandma midwife thing to be kind of weird in the translation. Like, it didn't quite click to me. I want to see what is really happening. I'm gonna try to speed run this one though. Okay, so after a valiant effort of understanding this interaction, I can say that it makes about as much sense as it does in the NA version. Very faithful to the manga. The manga is just squatting in our Cheerios today. You know, just completely faithfulness. Just completely long-lasting relationships. Oh, I gotta get the fireplace. I gotta get the other fireplace. This is one fine fireplace. Oh God, what does he say? What does he say to this fireplace? Dirt. What do you say? It's good Italian? This fireplace is good Italian. Oh shit. It's a fireplace. It's a dark furnace. It's a fine fireplace. Oh my God, this is so faithful. It's splendid. Damn. It's a fine fireplace. It's a four-way what? A four-way? It's a pupil's furnace? It's a fine taste furnace. What the hell kind of fireplace is this? Admirable. Admirable. That was it. Just admirable. It's a good head furnace? Well, it's a fine pot. He said it's a good head furnace. Hold on, we gotta get that one. Oh, it's a nahata. What? Come on, Dart. Oh, come on, Dart. You know the good wife is going to love that one. We gotta get that good head. It's a great. Okay, come on, Dart. Work with me. You're going. It's a fine head furnace. Damn, the quality isn't all that good on it, but I'll try to get another one. It's standing. I'm ready. It tastes great. You turn it to the side and you just get like the alternative moveset. he said it tastes great. It's a good head furnace, and it tastes great. Oh, I might not be able to get. It's a good throat. It's a good throat. He said it's a good throat. Holy shit! It's a good throat furnace. Oh no! God, I got it. I almost lost it twice. He said it's a good head furnace, and it's a good throat furnace, and he said it tastes great. What does that even mean? Oh, we're going for gold here, Dart. We're going for glory. You know, Shauna's going for glory in this whole. Okay, I'm gonna have to call it quits in a. It's a fine day, woman. Oh. It's a good throat furnace. Oh my goodness. Damn. This is where the replay value comes in. You don't get the hidden clues and the truly inner lore of the LOD experience. Okay, well, I think we're gonna have to call it quits, and we're just gonna have to come back here in the next playthrough and try to get that secret ending and continue with this fine fireplace. But oh my god, he said it is a good head furnace, and it's a great throat, and it tastes good, and it's a fine dame woman. I'm breaking all the latest secrets for LOD that you won't get anywhere else. We're really learning a lot about Dart. Oh my god. Anyways, this concludes the most seductive translation session yet to date, and we will continue with our regularly scheduled programming. It's non-negotiable. They pretty much all across the board, they hit harder with their physical attacks. In my playthrough, it may not seem like it sometimes because I got my Dart's one level higher, and he's wearing armor. However, one thing I forgot to do is in the NA version, I forgot to give Dart armor, but I didn't realize it. And he's also one level lower. So keep that in mind when we go into these fights. Is not only is he one level lower in NA, but he's also not wearing equipment. And you'll see that even with that, the damage that he's taking is still more or less on par to what he's taking in JP. Even though in JP he's one level buffer and he's wearing equipment, you know, so keep that in mind, that even with that, he's still taking comparable damage, and in some cases, he's still taking more damage. Keep that in mind during this gauntlet. One thing I also want to note is that when you get to the ninja, and the NA, I've never seen it happen where the ninja guy went twice in a row. I've never seen that happen when I have both party members. 100% positive that there is a speed boost, 1000% positive that there is, but also that there is like a tendency change as well, but not necessarily with the ninja fight, but he definitely has a speed boost. I'm not sure if it's like scripted into the fight or not, but he has a moment where he does his spell once, and then he immediately gets the very next turn and he does the spell again, and he's hitting harder because it's unique magic. Unique magic hits harder in JP. Unique magic is anything that is other than item spells. That happened and he's hitting harder, and he's damn near hitting for half a century each time, and that seems to happen a lot where in JP they have this moment where they try to sneak in, creep in, and just kill you on the spot, you know. And if you're not prepared, it's just game over. Because if you get hit with that 2-piece, and these 2 pieces are hitting for damn near half of your life, and they do it twice, you know, at the wrong place at the wrong time, it's game over. So it makes sense why they put save points here in this area, because there is some cheap stuff that happens. And like in the Kongol fight, one thing that happens is pretty much the same thing, and I'm not sure if it's scripted or not, but that same scenario happens where he's hitting harder, way harder in fact, and he does his grab and he hits for, like, you know, you could say about the same numbers but more, and he does it twice in a row, you know. And so it just puts you, like, it's automatically puts you in danger, or it just flat out kill you, you know. And keep in mind that I'm kind of beefed up in this area in JP, and I'm taking like way more damage than I am, you know, in the other version, you know, even though in the other version I'm not wearing armor. So it's just, you know, keep all those things in mind. And I'm not going to talk doing this. I'll probably catch you again after we get into the marshlands, and I'll check you in then. So here's a weird case where I actually beat the JP before I beat the NA, and that's just because of the circumstances. Like, I usually have attack items by the time I get to this fight, because it's a no item shop challenge. And because of that, I'm not buying anything from the shops unless it's a charm potion. And I just didn't get the lucky drop where I thought I had something, but I didn't, so I just have to just rough it out. You know, so that was that. You know, and I made a couple of mistakes along the way, but, you know, in the end, you know, it was, you know, I think it's a clear which one was harder, you know, that which one is more likely to take you out and to give you a game over. The one that attacks you twice and could potentially attack you 3 times, potentially, I think he could give a 3-hit combo. I think he could in JP. I think he could. So I think he could get like a 50 and then another 50 and then another 50. I think that he could do it. I don't think he could do that in NA. That's just what I'm saying. What's most likely to kill? JP hands down. But I actually performed better in JP. And I know I didn't mention this in a long while, but it's pretty obvious which one has the faster text. I usually try to start JP after I start the NA because the JP always catches up and overlaps it in the text boxes. And you're just gonna see like JP just run a mile across this entire dialogue scene. So, you know, just casually swapping over to Rose, you know, not that in a hurry, you know, it's not like I'm immediately swapping out Shauna. Okay, I swapped Shauna out with the swiftness. I couldn't wait. I was clicking on every button I could. Yes, this is a habit. But we're going in and we're going to do the next gauntlet immediately after. We're going to go through the fortress. And it's really not much different here other than what's already known. They hit harder, magic does less. Attack items do less, and they have more health. Yeah, that's pretty much the only difference. And at this point, the best way to keep comparison going is to just keep a track of Rose and Lavitz, because I think Lavitz is the same level about now. So Rose and Lavitz are going to be taking the same amount of damage. They're the same levels across both versions, I believe. If not, they're going to be like towards the end of the gauntlet. So keep track of that. Yeah, they hit like trucks. Again, normally you want to keep the physical people on the field and get rid of the magic users as fast as possible, because the physical is usually so weak in the American version. But it's the opposite in JP, so they are just hitting you like just madmen the entire time until you get them off the field, really. But when you get to the boss, is the boss of the section, the mini boss, I think it's a clear difference that you'll see. A bit because of circumstance, but also just because how much not a threat the add-ons are in the NA. There's so much not of a threat that you could just completely just bulldoze your way through that part. Whereas in this part, it's kind of like it hurts enough to be concerned about it. And that's really all I have to say about that. And I'll tune out and I'll peep y'all in the volcano.
リップスナック。リップスナック。 マーク。Xマーク。よし。Xマーク。 Xmas.
So the main event of this video, I guess, of this session, is going to be the Virage. Now, I would say that there is a huge difference here, but I'm also kind of not sure. I'm kind of going to need your opinion on this one. But I also formed my opinion already, but you know, it may be up to the eye of the beholder, but to me, it's clear as day which one is more difficult. Okay, let me start with the NA. In NA, normally he does his laser like once every while, and he'll swipe you with his arm most of the time, and every like after a like halfway into the fight, you know, or like after 5 or so turns pass, he'll do the status effect. One thing that I've encountered in this playthrough or this run is that he kind of has this combo thing where he does the status effect and he can do his laser immediately after. And in JP it wasn't like that. So I'm not sure how true that is or if that's just a coincidence. But in JP, keep that in mind, that he everything I said about the NA version, keep that in mind. But in JP, he doesn't do his laser every once in a while. He does his laser like every other turn. Like every other turn he does his laser. Like I'm talking about, you get his first turn, he'll do the laser. Like you get 2 character turns and he's doing another laser, then he's hitting you with the claw. You might get like 3 character turns and he's doing another laser immediately after. You might get 2 turns after that, then he's doing another laser. So he's doing the laser very frequently, and it's hitting harder, way harder, because it's a unique magic. But he didn't combo. I'm not sure if it's how true it is, but he didn't seem to combo that into the status effect. It seemed like it was either he's going to do the status effect or he's going to do the laser. And if he's going to do the status effect, he's inactive for longer. And then he goes through another cycle where he has to wait until he can do the laser. But in the NA, he just straight status effect into the laser. You know, it was like, you know, separate pieces acting as one. But in this one, in JP, it's like the same function just taking place, you know, at unique times. I don't know if that made sense to you, but that's my experience with it. And, you know, it's debatable which one's harder. It's debatable because of that, you know, and it depends a lot on the luck that you get with the status effects. But I will say to keep in mind, once again, that Dart is 1 level higher in JP, and he's wearing armor. Alright, so he should be buffering and taking significantly less damage because of this. Whereas in A, he's wearing no armor, and he is 1 level behind. So he should be taking massively more damage. I'm going to tell you that that's not the case. They're going to be taking about the same amount of damage. But the other characters, Rose and Lavitz, those are the ones you're going to have to compare it to. They're going to be taking significantly more damage across the board. Like just significantly. That's all I'll say, and I'll let it do the rest of the talking, and I'll see y'all probably at the end. Nah, well, the Firebird's gonna be more or less the same thing, you know, pretty much the same thing as that. But I'll see you all after the fight and we'll talk about that. So you see, it's kind of like debatable which one is actually harder. It's kind of just a luck thing, I feel. You know, the status effects were really the difference maker. You know, I would have bulldozed my way through the NA version if it weren't for the double confuse, but it's neither here nor there. The fact that it is that he comboed into it, and he could be a problem in both versions, you know. That's just the way I see it. He could be a problem. But if I were to say, if I didn't equip Dart, and if he were a level lower, I don't think I would be singing that same song, you know. I think that I would be singing an entirely different tune, because he was definitely felt like he was faster. He definitely didn't get stunned. I'm not sure how true it is that he gets stunned when you kill the arm, but it seemed to be the case in NA. I tried to do the same tactic, and he just didn't give a damn about that. He just kept on pushing. That arm didn't mean squat to him. That must have been his masturbation arm. Damn, that was too crude. That must have been his pimping arm, you know, because he just kept on pushing like it wasn't no thing. So that's all I really have to say about that. I think JP was harder and tougher overall, but you know, I guess that one's kind of, they're both hard. They both can be hard, at least. But I think JP is actually, that could get you. I feel like that could get you if you get this completely horrible blessed RNG. So fire, burp, it's not really much to talk about here. I think you pretty much know what to expect with this. It's going to sing in the same song. He hits harder. I don't think he's faster. I don't even think he has that much more health. And also, I need to clear my name before this happens. I have bad eyesight, or my eyesight is steadily getting worse, apparently, because I was looking in a menu like a while back in the vid, like before I swapped roles in or something like that, and I was going back and forth between the status screen, and I was like, oh, Dart has a higher magic attack than Rose. Like, that's weird. I never knew that. I was pretty damn sure that Rose was the highest at this point. And I just kept looking at it, and I was like, wow, Dart really does. And I was looking at the defense stat. You know, so I used Dart as my primary magic user, even though I only had like one item. I just want to clear that up. Alright, that just for no good reason other than to sound like a prick. And other than that, I guess I just want to say that I have not dropped an edition once. I feel like that needs to be appreciated a little bit. Up to this point, I had not dropped one single edition in JP. Alright, let's get that crunkin' talking. Alright, I dropped one in the USA. And with that, I'll see you at the end. Catch you in a hot minute, motherfucker.
Xmas.
Yes!
Xmas. Lip smack.
And I dropped one edition at the very end because of the goddamn camera. That freaking bird's fat fiery ass was in the camera lens and I couldn't see Lavitz's freaking tip. Anyways, that pretty much concludes this session. Not much was different with that Firebird fight, but I hope you enjoyed this longer session, and I hope to continue, and I hope you enjoy and have a happy and lovely frolicking holiday season and a merry rest of the year. Goddamn freaking speech impediment with the W's and the R's. Rest of the year. I was picked on by one of the girls I had a crush on. She said I had a speech impediment. God damn it, I was still... Anyways, may peace be with. Always keep your heads up. Deuces, those both sided. You'll stay cool. And if you like this content, be sure to show some love. But always be sure to show that love to the people that matter to you. And this is ITOwl bidding you fairly the most of wells. And be cool. Peace and much love. Deuces.